Two people charged after a child was found dead in a car in South Carolina. Colleton County Sheriff's deputies responded to a report of a child left in a vehicle about 60 miles outside of Charleston. That child was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators arrested 49-year-old Rita Pangalangan and 41-year-old Larry King.
Investigators say 13-year-old disabled Christina Pangalangan was left in a car in August for hours, locked inside, and died.
4 years ago, a 13-year-old Walterboro girl died under the most awful of circumstances. Her mother is Rita Pangalangan, a local school district teacher. Winning the Teacher of the Year award in 2014, Rita Pangalangan was known and adored by many as she carefully molded and cared for other children during the day and went home to care for her special needs daughter, Christina. Something must have changed sometime between 2014 and 2019 because Rita, who was celebrated for her warmth, could not possibly have turned around to kill her own child, right? The murder trial is finally underway, so join us as we shine a light on the tragic story of Christina Pangalangan. This South Carolina couple, Rita Pangalangan and Larry King, is accused of abandoning the woman's developmentally disabled daughter to perish in a hot car. The victim was 13-year-old Christina Pangalangan. She was confined to a wheelchair and also non-verbal. The 13-year-old suffered from cerebral palsy, which rendered her speechless and confined to a wheelchair. These factors definitely made it more impossible for her to physically exit the 2012 Volkswagen Jetta that was under the sweltering summer temperatures. Opening the car door or even screaming out for help was not an option for Christina Pangalangan. Her mother, Rita, and her boyfriend, Larry King, are now both accused of murder, endangering a child, and criminal conspiracy. The incident took place on August 5th, 2019, at Larry King's residence. It is located about 10 miles outside of Walterboro. Defendant Rita Pangalangan allegedly stated that she had entered the home for a brief moment to grab a pack of cigarettes after leaving her daughter in the Volkswagen Jetta. In the initial police reports, she claimed she had returned to the car to find Christina and the keys locked inside. Apparently, when Rita and Larry finally obtained extra keys to unlock the car, it was too late to save Christina. By the time the first responders arrived, Christina was reportedly outside the car but was not breathing and already beyond saving. The police report later confirmed that Christina was trapped in the Volkswagen for over 5 hours. This report was based on the investigation that followed the arrival of the police. Even worse, it was possibly above 130 degrees Fahrenheit that day as temperatures were high in the car. Detectives claimed to have discovered surveillance footage that would greatly contrast with the couple's claims that her death was an accident. The surveillance footage showed Larry King and the defendant, Rita Pangalangan, placing Christina in the car at 11:15 a.m., leaving her there as he closed the door. According to reports from the authorities, the couple went into the house for over an hour, came back for a brief moment to check on the girl, and then went back inside. They allegedly stayed inside for 3 more hours, and when they finally did leave, they allegedly just drove off in Larry King's truck, leaving Christina alone for an additional hour. Later that month, the defendant, Rita Pangalangan, announced her resignation as a teacher. People who loved and cared for the young victim came forward and spoke to the local station anonymously. They apparently did not believe that the South Carolina Department of Social Services handled the neglect complaints against defendant Rita Pangalangan appropriately. According to lawyers, 5 of such neglect complaints were made at different points in time, prior to the one that eventually took her life. March 2019 marked the most recent instance. The mother brought the daughter to school with a severe and untreated burn across her face, neck, and chest, according to school officials, who then felt the need to call DSS. A lawsuit against DSS claims that defendant Rita Pangalangan neglected to treat the wound, which eventually drained on the child's shirt and gave off an odor. According to the lawsuit, the agency is now being accused of not handling the case properly. In the meantime, detectives from the Colleton County charged Rita Pangalangan and Larry King with Christina's murder 2 days after she passed away. You would think justice would be dealt with swiftly, but some unforeseen delays had since come into play. When the two appeared before a circuit judge a little more than a month later, in September, they were each given a $100,000 bond that allowed them to be released. Once their bail was paid, both were quickly let out of custody. Even 3 years down the line, and there was not even a whiff of the case. The defendants never even appeared before a judge even once. Of course, this was worrisome. Several media outlets and the general public made inquiries to the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office about the Pangalangan case and the reason why the case hadn't possibly gone to trial. According to ABC News, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in a sizable backlog in court cases around the state. Courts had a hard time recovering from the thousands of cases that were postponed in 2020 and 2021. Even the investigation suffered directly from the pandemic, as Sergeant Ed Macarella, who was the Colleton County Sheriff Office's lead detective on the case, passed away in 2021 as a result of coronavirus complications. This further prolonged the prosecution's timeline even more. Fast forward to the 28th of August 2023, the trial for Christina Pangalangan's murder officially kicked off. Now that the case is finally in court, these are the exact determining details according to the police reports. On August 5, 2019, late in the afternoon, Colleton County Sheriff's Office deputies received a call to a residence on Low Country Highway, about 10 miles outside of Walterboro. Rita Pangalangan claimed that she had briefly entered the residence of her boyfriend Larry King in order to get a pack of cigarettes. Rita Pangalangan admitted to deputies that she had left her daughter Christina inside her 2012 Volkswagen Jetta. Rita claimed that Christina and the keys were locked inside her car when she returned to the car. She had claimed that she and her boyfriend Larry King struggled to find a spare key, and that when they eventually did, it was already too late for Christina. The first responders and emergency personnel arrived and reported that Christina was outside the vehicle but no longer breathing. The reports confirm that Christina endured that agonizing condition in the hot car for a long time before she eventually died. Rita Pangalangan and Larry King had given their statements, but their story to investigators quickly started to unravel. Detectives obtained a search warrant and entered Larry King's home. They took the security camera footage, and the recording revealed a much more ominous tale.
With her boyfriend carrying her from inside the home in the middle of the day, 11:16. Oh, where should we stick her? Let's stick her in the back of the car. What? What? Why are you going? They're not even going anywhere.
A car whose interior car temperatures could have easily surpassed 130 degrees. Due to severe developmental disabilities, Christina Pangalangan was confined to a wheelchair, nonverbal, and completely dependent on others for care. This is a fact that the prosecution is expected to hold on to. As mentioned earlier, family members of Christina are expected to testify at some point during the trial. They had previously been concerned about the progress of Christina Pangalangan's case. They believed Christina's death could have been avoided if Rita Pangalangan's child welfare complaints had been handled properly. Due to her severe developmental disabilities, Christina was dependent on others for care. However, according to the August 2021 lawsuit, Rita Pangalangan wasn't providing that care, and DSS knew about it. According to attorneys, Rita Pangalangan was the subject of 5 complaints of neglect in the year prior to Christina's passing. The last complaint was filed in March 2019, only 5 months before Christina's passing, after Rita allegedly brought Christina to school with a severe untreated burn covering her face, neck and chest. Colleton County school officials reportedly called DSS. Rita Pangalangan was supposed to treat her daughter's burn, but the lawsuit claims this never happened. According to school officials, Christina's burn was draining and emitting an odor the next time Rita brought her to school. According to reports, Rita's non-compliance was brought up again by the school to DSS, but according to lawyers, the agency never took any further action. The lawsuit alleges negligence on the part of DSS and asks the court to order the organization to compensate Christina's estate financially for the emotional distress she endured. 2 women gave noteworthy testimonies in court on the 29th of August. These testimonies brought the defendant Rita Pangalangan's parenting style to question. One of them is Lindsay Lewis. In the summer of 2019, Lindsay was 18 at the time and wanted to become a nurse. Defendant Rita Pangalangan was her teacher and believed that Lewis could gain nursing and care experience by caring for Christina. Lindsay testified that Christina passed away on Monday and that Rita Pangalangan had asked her to watch Christina by herself the previous Friday evening so she could go on a date with her boyfriend Larry King. It was her first time taking care of the child by herself. Unexpectedly, the mother did not arrive until Sunday night, leaving the 18-year-old alone with the child the entire weekend. Rita Pangalangan informed Lindsay that she was assisting Larry King in recovering from food poisoning.
Anybody else there to take care of Christina?
No, sir.
Just you?
Mm-hmm.
Had you taken care of Christina before?
No, sir.
This was on what day?
The second. Yes, sir.
What day was that?
A Friday.
Did you see Rita Pangalangan again?
Not until Sunday afternoon.
After she went on a date with Larry, did she say, I'm gone and I'll be back Monday or anything like that?
She said that she texted me later that night to check on Christina. I would say about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then she said she would be back the next morning on Saturday to go grocery shopping and stuff like that, but she never came. And
were there groceries in the house?
no, sir.
Just the insured drinks?
And I think there was a pitcher of Kool-Aid in there, maybe in the fridge.
Right. So did she come back the next day?
No,
That would be, I guess,
Saturday.
Saturday, right? Did
Saturday.
she come back Saturday?
No, sir.
Did she call in?
No, sir.
The second testimony against Rita Pangalangan's parenting came from Brittany Honeycutt. She paid rent to live with the Pangalangans in the summer of 2019 and was more than happy to testify before the jury. At the mother's request, Brittany claimed to have kept an eye on Christina on several occasions. Brittany recalled one occasion when she claimed she had to leave to go to work and couldn't watch Christina anymore. She had called Rita to come and get her, but her mother persisted. In Brittany's own words, "She told me to leave Christina in my car with the windows down because she does it all the time."
And had asked me if I could watch her. I had let her know that I had to go into work for a few hours, and she kept asking me over and over. And finally, when the answer didn't change, it was no, obviously, she told me to leave Christina in my car with the windows down because she does it all the time.
The opening statement by the solicitor on the case, Duffy Stone, further criticised Rita Pangalangan's parenting. The statement portrayed hers as a selfish mother who felt aggrieved by her daughter's special needs. In Stone's words, Christina was totally dependent on someone else for her safety. She died because those two people there treated that little girl like baggage. She didn't put her in the car and forget about her. They put her in the car because to them, she was baggage. As you can imagine, the goal of Solicitor Stone is to get the defendants convicted of murder. But to do this, he must first establish beyond a reasonable doubt that Rita Pangalangan and Larry King killed Christina intentionally or as a result of their reckless disregard for human life.
Child was killed on Monday. Rita Pangalangan left her child with this babysitter Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she describes basically Rita Pangalangan leaving the child with her and taking off, and she doesn't see her for the full weekend, didn't know she was leaving. That leads literally into that Monday. So this is literally part of the case itself under res gestae. The other witness is somebody who lived with Rita Pangalangan through the going up until I believe August the 1st. This happened again on August the 5th. In her statement, she said that among other things, and again, I'll give you the full statement so you can view it. But among other things, she said that Rita Pangalangan told her, "I need you to take the child, and I need you to take her with you." And she said, "I can't do that. The witness says I can't do that. I'm going to work." And she said, "Just take the child with you to work and put her in the car. That's what I always do." That, to me, Your Honor, again, this is on August. This is the time frame that she's actually leaving with Rita Pangalangan. It goes directly to the reckless disregard for the safety of the child being something that Rita apparently does pretty consistently, that she used to put the child in the back of the car. Again, those statements are all written. The defense has full...
Hours of home security video from Christina's death day were played repeatedly by the state. King put Christina in the car's back seat after carrying her there. The video started playing without any audio as the courtroom fell silent. The jury members watched on the screen as Rita Pangalangan and Larry King argued on the porch, went back inside, and came outside to embrace and kiss. Meanwhile, Christina was locked in the car parked in the foreground, baking in the sun the entire time. However, defense attorney Dane Phillips emphasized a slightly different take on the matter. At 12:15, the mother went to see the child, and at 3 o'clock she returned to check on her daughter but couldn't gain entry into the locked vehicle. Larry King and Rita Pangalangan left the house to find a different set of keys. When they returned at 4:15 p.m, the young teen was dead. Dane Phillips, the defense attorney representing Rita Pangalangan, then emphasized that the case was truly a nightmare. Call it what you will, but not a murder. In his own words, that day's events were a complete tragedy. We know and accept that mistakes were made, and that certain actions ought to have been taken differently. And to the jury, he said, don't compound that tragedy by giving into what the government wants. The defense team is building their case around the argument that this should not be considered a murder case. Dane Phillips argued that there should be consequences, but it was not murder. Rita Pangalangan sat at a table in the corner of the courtroom dressed in a navy blue pantsuit and black ballet flats. The blonde-haired woman was spotted blotting her eyes with tissues and shaking her head in disapproval as her parenting was scrutinized. Her co-defendant Larry King was seated across from his ex-girlfriend at a table. The man with a large curly beard and shaved head wore a white button-down shirt. His physical presence notably dominated that of Rita Pangalangan in the courtroom, though he was rarely mentioned during testimony. His lawyer, Gil Gatch, sought to distance this client from the mother and daughter during opening statements. Gatch said one of Larry King's worst mistakes was getting back together with Rita Pangalangan. The attorney stated that Christina was not his child and was not in his custody. At some point, it was revealed that the blood drawn from both Larry King and Rita Pangalangan the day the child died tested positive for methamphetamine. State Law Enforcement Division forensic toxicologist Lindsay Mitchell testified that the drug was active in their bodies, but also acknowledged that it could have been consumed up to 3 days before the day Christina died. Defense attorneys had sought to suppress that information but were overruled. The defense also fought to have images of the crime scene that showed Christina lying on the grass with blisters covering her legs and a soiled diaper suppressed as well.
Availability of a witness.
Yes, Your Honor. And the problem that I'll have at this point is I don't obviously have privy to what evidence the state is going to seek to admit, and so that is a conceptual problem of mine that we'll just have to address at the appropriate time. But I wanted to make sure Your Honor is aware of that issue.
Okay. Any comment the state wants to make about that?
The defense said the images may inflame the passions of the jury and prejudice against the defendants, citing a decision handed down this month by the South Carolina Supreme Court. The defense attorney cited a Somerville woman's 2019 murder conviction, in which the gruesome autopsy photos presented to the jury unlawfully prejudiced the case against her. However, Judge Clifton Newman overruled the objections from the defense, and the photos were shown to the jury. According to heatstroke.org, a national online database that tracks pediatric vehicular heat stroke fatalities, Christina Pangalangan was the 19th child in South Carolina to die since 1998 of heat stroke inside a vehicle. 3 other children have since died in the Palmetto state of vehicular heat stroke. According to the database, a dozen of the car deaths occurred due to a caregiver unintentionally leaving the child in a car. 4 of the deaths occurred when the child gained access to a vehicle on their own. In the remaining 6 cases, a caregiver is alleged to have intentionally left the child in the car. In Christina's case, the heat index inside the vehicle reached 135 degrees, according to testimony from climatology expert Andrew Grunstein in court. It is such an unfortunate case, one that should never have happened. The trial may run on for a while, and we may yet discover many more gruesome facts about this case, but in the end,